hit the record button. Okay, we are recording. We're live on Instagram and live on Zoom. Facebook is not connecting this evening, and I believe it's because my computer needs an update. So I think it's my computer, but it does happen often. So my apologies. Facebook's just going to get a replay. We're recording this video, and Facebook will get a replay. Good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday evening. Happy Hump Day. Right here every Wednesday, it's live with myself at Nuuaria Health and Wellness for a new topic. And this week's topic is on meditation, how and why to do it. I am so excited that we are expanding into Nuuaria stress and Nuuaria meditation, as well as what you have seen. We obviously do Nuuaria weight loss and then Nuuaria diabetes. So I'm so excited. There is a new Nuuaria stress program coming out and meditation as well. And so we're going to chat a little bit about it this evening. I just came from the town of Paradise Valley, and gave a what was it? Meditation for stress management in the workplace to the good folks in the town of Paradise Valley and the city workers there. So you're going to hear a little bit of what happened today and what went on. And hopefully my intention for you, as always, is awareness, is to build your awareness. Meditation is not what we think meditation is. It is not this, although it can be this. It is very different from this. And meditation in itself is experiential in nature, and words don't teach. So I'm going to take you to a place, I'm going to take you right to the edge, where the only way that you'll be able to move forward is to go and do it for yourself. And I'm going to challenge you to do it for yourself. Before we dive in, if there's some new faces and new names here to Instagram and Zoom, we'll post the recording to Facebook since it's not connecting tonight. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Maya. I am a behavioral registered dietitian, the creator of the Nuuaria method and founder here at Nuuaria Health and Wellness. And I had no idea. My whole life, it's been a process of the creation of the Nuuaria method. I've been overweight in my life. I've been diagnosed with prediabetes. I've been on anxiety and depression medication because I tried to set the alarm for the sun to rise, a fellow recovery and control freak. I was always looking for a better way for my health, because the point is that I knew what to do. I just wasn't doing it. And that's who we serve here at Nuuaria Health and Wellness, is the human who knows what to do but just isn't doing it. And it's less about here at Nuuaria, we teach you that how you think about your health is more important than what you do. How you think about your health is more important than what you do for your health. What we wish to, hold on. There we go. What we wish to communicate to you in a big way is, here's how I want you thinking about it, is the same way you work out at the gym, you eat food and you take supplements, whether you do or you don't. It's just as important, if not more, in terms of how you think about your health. The categories or habituations of thought, the all or nothing thinking, the catastrophic thinking, the obsessive and the overthinking, the chronic emotional habits of stress and anxiety and frustration and overwhelm, those impact your health. Thinking alone can turn on the stress response, which we're going to dive in today with meditation. Thinking alone can turn on the stress response, which means that our thinking alone can change our health. And it's just as important as the food that you eat and how you think about it. The clients that we work with are, they are people just like myself, who have been there and done that. They know what to do, they're just not doing it. Or they have, whether it be in diet, but they bounce back and forth. They've been on 998 diets before. They could be nutritionists in themselves. And sometimes we get to this place where we feel like you're really smart. There's nothing wrong with you. But because of all of these failed past attempts that we've had, oftentimes we think to ourselves, like, what's the matter with me? Maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe don't have enough willpower. Maybe maybe this really just isn't for me. Maybe I am a failure. And the truth is, you got to remember that if you're hearing this for the first time, hear it from my mouth to your ears. You are none of those things. You are strong enough. You are capable enough. You have plenty of willpower. You are not a failure, and this is real and possible for you. It is simply that you're not irresponsible with your behaviors. If you're banging your head against the wall and you have unstrategically been changing your behaviors, that looks like changing 998 things on Monday and falling into chocolate cake by Friday, you're not irresponsible with your behaviors, although it seems that way because you know what to do and it just doesn't seem like you get yourself to do it. It has nothing to do with the behaviors and everything to do with thought. In the Nuuaria method, says that our thoughts create our emotions, which create our behaviors. Our thoughts create our emotions, which create our behaviors, and therefore ultimately our life circumstance. So instead of going from all the sugar in the world to no sugar in the world, well, we can do this. This is an unstrategic use of willpower in my habit change. But the moment that I get stressed out because my thoughts create my emotions and my behaviors, the moment I use up all my willpower, because willpower is just a muscle, and I get stressed out, this is the hamster wheel. And if you're here, people have been on the hamster wheel before, and this doesn't have to do with sugar. It can do with many other things in your life. But what we never took a look at is, why am I stressed out? What are the habituations in my thought patterns that are driving my emotions and ultimately my behaviors? The brain inside of our head has 70,000 thoughts in a day. The brain inside of our head has 70,000 thoughts in a day. So here's Maya, and here's her brain. Here's you, and here's your brain. The brain inside of our head has 70,000 thoughts in a day. And you and I may have different thoughts. You may think thoughts about your family, and I may think thoughts about my job, but they all fall under categories of thinking. Common categories or habituations of thought tend to be things like, the little list here that we always go through, but things like circling. Circling is when you get on a thought, you can't get off of a thought. It's like obsessive thinking. You just get on it and you can't get it out of your head. There's catastrophic thinking, another type or habituation of thought. When it's for catastrophic thinking habits of the mind, it's not if the sky is going to fall, it's when the sky is going to fall. There's perfectionism. There's storytelling, making up stories inside of your head that aren't true. You know, somebody looked at you funny at the grocery store, and you think that, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have worn these pair of pants or something. And then you stress out and your butt looks all big, whatever. You're just making up stories inside of your head, and we make up stories all day long. The indecisiveness is another habit of thought. One of the most detrimental, I've been coaching for 14 years, and after 14 years, there's one thing that there's many things that seem to be very true for me, but there's one pattern that I've seen consistently time and time again in humanity when they go to change their health. One of the most detrimental habits of thought is all or nothing thinking. Black or white, go hard or go home, do it all or don't do it. The brain tends to say, well, if you don't do it at all, you should have learned French yesterday. What's the matter with you? It's black or white, all or nothing thinking. Identity attachment, that's not me, I couldn't do it. Being afraid to rock the boat. Drama is another habit of the mind. Overthinking. Quitting, thinking I can do it myself. Procrastination. One of the most, I said already, one of the most detrimental, but I suppose one of the more detrimental habits of thought is not believing it's possible. Having a repeated thought in the mind that says it's not possible. It's all of our social media on Instagram and Facebook is dedicated to, you'll see the hashtag it's possible, just to share with you what is possible, because the brain inside of our head only has access to past experience. And if you want to create something new, like effortless weight loss, or you've spent your whole life on diabetes medications, or you've spent your whole life in a certain state of anxiety or stress, you want to create something new, but you can't use your brain to get there because the brain only has access as a storage unit for past experience. So quite literally, this game, so to speak, of changing our health in a different way, knowing that how you think about your health is more important than what you do, it's because the whole game is getting beyond habitual thought, getting out of your head, getting beyond what you think on an everyday basis. Now, tonight's topic is meditation, how and why how to start doing it and why is a habit of thought. You cannot, the habits, let me back up for just a second physically for you. Habits are automatic autopilot ways and states of living and existing in our world. We do them and we don't even think about them. It's easy and it's effortless. Tying our shoes, riding a bike, driving a car, brushing our teeth, those are all easy and effortless habits. I would argue that it's as easy for the majority of us to go be stressed out as it is for us to brush our teeth. It's just easy, natural, and habitual. At the same time, our thoughts and our thinking are habits too. Remember I said that here's Maya and here's her brain. Here's you and here's your brain. You're not your brain. Which also means that you're not the 70,000 thoughts that you have in your head each day. But oftentimes, just as habits are habits of thinking, we do them and we don't think about them. We do them and we don't think about them. If you're used to thinking catastrophically, like it's not if the sky's going to fall, it's when the sky's going to fall. There's always the next problem. There's this underlying sense of uneasiness in the form potentially of stress or anxiety, this uneasiness that's always happening. It's the fight or flight response in the body that ultimately turns on disease and inflammation. This low grade state that we're always looking for that next problem, or I'm always overthinking things, or I'm trying to control things that I ultimately can't control. And it's producing this low-grade state of stress. But here's the thing. This is the habit. This is the habit. The habit of thought is in my face. Meaning, stay with me. You get out of the shower. You grab your towel off the rack. And you don't think to yourself, that, okay, so I'm grabbing the towel and I'm going to put it clockwise around my body, et cetera, and so on. You're not thinking that, you just do it. In the same way, you don't think about tying your shoes, you just do it. You don't think about brushing your teeth, you just do it. How you think is so habit or habitual that you don't think, you just think. You're not aware, you just think, because the habit is so easy. If our habits of thought, perfectionism, trying to control things we can't control, overthinking, obsessive thinking, catastrophic thinking, if our habits of thought do not serve where we want to go in life, do not serve and support the desired life circumstance, such as permanent weight loss, no more diabetes education, stress elimination, yes, I said stress elimination, and reduction to elimination in this chronic anxiety that we're experiencing. If it doesn't support what we want in our life for our health, then we have to change how we think. Because ultimately, if I'm changing my behaviors all the time, unstrategically using my willpower, but my thoughts are in not a good place, and they don't support this whole thought, emotion, and behavior train, then I'm not going to get to where I want to go. I have to ultimately change my thinking. But in order to change my thinking, I have to be aware of my thinking. I have to see my thinking. I have to disassociate. I have to see that I'm thinking these thoughts. Ultimately, think of it this way. If these types of habits of thought, it's like meditation in a way is like training the untrained puppy upstairs. If these thoughts do not serve where we want to go, there is a puppy inside of your head that is chewing up your house, your shoes, and your underwear. And our job is to train the puppy to be a full-grown dog. Meditation helps you do that. Meditation helps you to disassociate, not in the way that we would think about disassociation in traditional psychology, but we disassociate from our thoughts. We don't let them run our lives and get lost in thought, which means we get lost in stress and less than desirable emotion each day. But we see them. We see them. Here's me and here's my thoughts. Here's me and here's what I'm experiencing and thinking. That's what meditation does, is it helps you to train the puppy upstairs. It helps you to become the director instead of the directed. If you have 70,000 thoughts in your head, if you're becoming them, you feel victim to them. You feel as though you may not be thinking this consciously, but you can't choose them if you are them, if you think you are them. You can't choose your thoughts if you think you're your thoughts. because they've been so close to you. They've been so right up in your face to you. So what meditation does slowly and over time is to help you see the thoughts and let go of the thoughts, and see the thoughts and let go of the thoughts. And in doing so, will reduce your stress response and allow you to choose better feeling thoughts. What from a stress perspective, what meditation does is if you're thinking, high momentum, but you're headed in the wrong direction, meaning high momentum of thought, but I don't feel good. That's how you know if you have high momentum of thoughts, but you don't feel good. It's wrong direction. High momentum, wrong direction. Lots of stress, lots of anxiety, frustration, and overwhelm. That means my thoughts are going 100 miles an hour, but they are absolutely going in the wrong direction. And so what meditation does slowly is it helps to slow down the momentum of those thoughts. It helps to slow down the momentum of those thoughts. When your thought momentum is slowed down, you experience peace, contentment, and calm. Peace, contentment, and calm. That's what we can do. Meditation is long-term stress management, which eventually, yes, can ultimately lead to stress elimination, right? Now, I know for some of us that sometimes we're just hearing that for the first time and we want to poo-poo it in some way because we've never experienced that before, right? The brain only has access to past experience. And yes, there is a piece of us and a component of us that is wired for safety and survival, as the brain is, and we need to make sure that we're not going to be killed by a bear. That's real stress. But we have not evolved to a place to understand that a box full of emails, when my boss asks me if I did that project right, or if I'm sitting at a red light while I'm late, we have the same stress response, the same fight or flight response, the same high momentum of thinking in the wrong direction response from those things as we do from running from a bear. Which means we have this low-grade state of fight or flight happening all the time. We were not meant to stay in a high-grade state of fight or flight for too long in our lives. We're not meant to stay there. We're meant to run from the bear and then calm down, refuel, rest, and digest, and allow the body to start repairing. But we have evolved to a place where we're in consistent low-grade state of fight or flight, turning on disease, turning on and up inflammation in the body. So often when people come to us for weight loss, it's very common that as we work on the stress management components, that weight falls off their body. And weight falls off their body because we're reducing the stress response, which is reducing the inflammatory weight. It's oftentimes that inflammatory weight seems like fat weight on the body. But if we're in a state of prolonged stress for too long of a period of time, because thought alone, as I'm mentioning to you now, thought alone can turn on the stress response. Thought alone can turn on the stress response. And what meditation does slowly and over time is to turn off that stress response for us and put right stress in the rightful place, as if I'm quite literally need to run from a bear to save my life, right? Not the box full of emails if I'm worried about losing my job or being stuck at a red light when I'm late. So meditation, there's a few, I pulled this up from today. There's a few some hard, I'm gonna give you a brief background into what meditation actually is, because it's not this, but I'm gonna explain it in a way that is totally gonna make sense. And I guarantee that the majority of you are probably already meditating in some way, but I'm gonna explain it, and then I'll give you some resources to go to actually practice it. But what's really cool is meditation is getting, it's now in the forefront. It's now, there's been studies around it for years now. There's the science of mindfulness and meditation. It's becoming more mainstream. And I will say it's really funny because I've always heard, right, meditation doesn't have to be this, and it doesn't have to be somebody on YouTube or an app talking about connecting and being one with the universe. I say that playfully to you, so if that's something you do, there's nothing wrong with that. We always work on the path of least resistance. Here at Nuuaria Health and Wellness, as we teach you that your thoughts and how you think about your health is more important than what you do. Oftentimes, as I mentioned, we work with the people who know what to do, they're just not doing it. And it's the people who may not have had any background with meditation. Maybe this is the first time they're even experiencing. They've heard of meditation, but it's the first time that they're ever experiencing it. So words and things come with resistance, and the more that we can reduce your resistance in the area, that fighting or that resistance towards a new concept, the more easily your brain will be able to adopt it. So there's been a lot of research. I won't go through all of these, but there was an 8-week study on a mindfulness meditation that significantly reduced the inflammation response that's caused by stress. It's also been shown to improve symptoms of stress-related chronic diseases, such as irritable bowel syndrome, post-traumatic stress disorder, fibromyalgia. There's lots of, I can't even begin to tell you the number of manifestations that happen in our body from stress. That could be laying down to sleep at night and you wake up because your brain is just running, or you can't go to sleep because your brain, all of those things that you haven't thought about during the day, starts running. Or headaches, aches and pains in the body, chronic disease, or chronic pain and illness, joint pain. It's the list goes on. Meditation reduces anxiety in a big way. It is a big part of I had announced the Nuuaria diabetes program, which we have Nuuaria weight loss. You've probably known us for Nuuaria weight loss. Nuuaria diabetes we are now piloting it with me. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out to me and I'll work with you on that. And soon enough, you will be seeing, which I'm very excited about, Nuuaria stress and Nuuaria meditation. And they will be their programs in themselves to help you learn how to think differently, short and long term. Really, meditation is long-term management of those pieces. Meditation reduces anxiety. It reduces the symptoms of anxiety disorders like social anxiety, paranoid thoughts, obsessive compulsive behavior, panic attacks, even job-related anxiety. It lengthens your attention span. You can focus better. Memory loss. There's one study I want to tell you what I want to share with you because it's really cool. I always give it in corporations. It generates kindness and compassion. It fights addiction, all kinds of addiction, not just drug and alcohol addiction, but food addiction, busyness addiction, all of the other addictions that we experience. It improves your sleep in a big way. So if you have problems sleeping, I highly recommend meditation to begin. It controls pain. There's oftentimes when we work with the Nuuaria method with chronic pain and illness, getting your head on board with your health and adopting the wellness, mindset is a huge component in this work. Blood pressure. It reduces your blood pressure. I believe that I think that it was as little as a 5-minute meditation. They did a study with 996 volunteers that found when they meditated by concentrating on a silent type of mantra, which we'll talk about in a moment in terms of what you're going to focus on, their blood pressure reduced systolically and diastolically, the top and bottom numbers, by roughly 5 points each on average, just by a 5-minute meditation each day, which is huge. This is pretty cool, depending on how you're joining us. If you are in a business or corporation, you own one. If you are in the wellness committee, if you are in HR, meditation, mindfulness is becoming a much, much more powerful component to workplace wellness programs. And there's a very famous study, and this one still, as often as I mention it, it still blows my mind. There was a business owner that implemented with, he used 70 of his workers, and ranging from all the way, everybody, upper management, all the way to production line employees. And he asked them to meditate 20 minutes in the morning before they came to work and 20 minutes in the afternoon on company time. And they did this with these results happened within 3 years. Absenteeism fell by 85%. Productivity rose by 120%. Injuries dropped by 70%. And profits increased by 520%. If you look up this If you look this up, it's by Buck Montgomery. And he said, as a result, people enjoyed their work. They were more creative and more productive. I tell companies, if you do this, you'll get your return on investment within 1 year. It's pretty amazing. And there is, when we are in a consistent state of fight or flight, when we are in a consistent state of problem. So I briefly mentioned this. So here's your brain. The brain is wired for safety and survival. The brain's job is to keep you safe. It is to see problems and then go create solutions to those problems. But oftentimes those problems aren't really existing. Some of you, with the jobs that you have, it is very common that your job is to solve problems. But sometimes, oftentimes, we don't know where that balance ends. We don't have that understanding that says everything isn't necessarily a problem, even outside of work. Oftentimes with catastrophic thinking, we see the problems and we try and create solutions to problems that aren't really there. And this happens in the brain the whole time. And so as we start to meditate, then it helps us to disassociate or separate ourselves and see those things, see those thoughts as thoughts, not necessarily problems that I must go engage in and go to solve. What happens oftentimes is as our brain works to keep us safe and in a state of survival, is something interesting happens when you start to meditate. And what happens is you start to feel more peace, contentment, and calm. And as you start to feel more peace, contentment, and calm, and if we are so used to stress as a habitual state, if you're so used to frustration and overwhelm as a habitual state, then oftentimes it feels weird, right? If I've known stress my whole life and I start to feel peace, more peace, well, the brain will start to give you a little pushback on that, because I know what stress is, but I don't know what happiness is, right? Even this mere conversation today, if this is new for you, it's almost as if, well, my whole life I've only ever eaten candy bars and you're giving me an apple. I don't know what an apple is, but I know what a candy bar is and it won't kill me, so I'll stay with this. I know what stress is. I know how it feels and it's familiar, so let me stay with stress. Oftentimes we don't realize that, we don't think about that there's this underlying, if we're not conscious and aware of our thoughts, which we can do through meditation, then we shun this peace and this happiness because it's something new, because it's not what we're used to. It's not a habit for us. And so this helps to flip that switch. When you can start to see your thoughts and not become your thoughts, and start to train the puppy upstairs, that's when the game changes for you. So how do we meditate? How do we meditate? So here's what I want you to think of meditation. That was a little background information as to why. The whole point that I wanted to go down that path with you was simply to there's so many reasons is the importance of meditation. And when we're not seeing problems in our world on a consistent basis, when we're not asking questions and trying to solve problems, that's where creativity and solutions comes in. If our brain is so always habitually focused on stress, anxiety, and problems, that's not the same place where creativity and solutions exist. So when we can separate those for ourselves, that's when we can start to invite in creativity and solutions and the place that we wish to exist. But if the mind is constantly going high momentum of thought all of the time, and we don't learn to slow that momentum of thought down, we will forever be in land of problem. We will forever be in land of questioning. We won't be in land of slowed momentum of thought where answers, creativity, and solutions exist. Oftentimes that's when we get so frustrated and overwhelmed, and it just seems to build and build for us. The very thing that we need to slow the momentum of thought is the very thing that we run from because it's unknown to us. So meditation will help you get to the place that slows that momentum of thought down. It slows the habitual stress response in the body. It calms down the fight or flight response. It's going to impact your health in thousands of ways, and ultimately help you achieve your goals in whatever you are wanting to achieve in your life. There's always a way for that. Now, here's how I want you to think about meditation is, here is a thought. What you're going to do is something, I think the official term here is focused attention meditation. The official term is focused attention meditation. Now, you're going to start off through guided meditation. If you have never meditated before, you're going to start with guided meditation. Guided meditation is where you put on something from YouTube or something from an app, and someone's voice walks you through something. Now, here's what we want to do is we want to stay focused on the thought. We want to stay focused on the voice is what we want to do. Focusing in on the voice is one thought. That's one thought, is I'm listening to the voice. That's a thought inside of my head. Now, here's what's going to happen. Is I have 70,000 thoughts in a day, 70,000 thoughts in a day. So if I'm focusing in on this thought right here, I'm focusing on this one, I'm listening to the voice, I'm listening to the voice. Here's what's going to happen in meditation is your head is going to say, oh, did you brush your teeth today? Right? That's one of your thoughts are going to go that way. Oh, did I brush my teeth today? And that thought doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of resistance. You could say, right? So, our video is slowing down a little bit. I want to make sure it catches up. So this thought doesn't have a lot of resistance. Is, oh, did I brush my teeth today? Come back to the voice. This is the puppy going after a squirrel. That's what's happening. It's a puppy going after a squirrel. And you're coming back here to the voice, back to the voice, back to the voice. Sometimes you don't even have to pay attention to what the voice says, right? How often, this is habit, how often are you driving? You're engaged in a conversation with someone sitting next to you. You arrive at your destination safely, but you forgot the last exit you got off at, you forgot the last stop sign you stopped at, but you arrived at your destination. That's the power of habit. And so as I'm right here, listening to the voice, I have a thought. It's the untrained puppy inside of our head going after a squirrel. I come back. And here's going to be another thought that comes in. Another thought says, oh, did you finish that project? Oh, did you finish that project? Okay, wait a minute now. I'm meditating. I got to come back to this voice. That's what meditation is I'm training the puppy. I'm learning how to be the director of my life instead of the directed. But you know what? This thought has a lot of resistance, especially if I'm fearful of losing my job, especially if I'm fear of failing, especially if I don't think I'm good enough in my job. I have a lot of resistance in this thought. And this right here is going to be really hard to let go of and come back to the voice. But this is meditation, my friend. This is meditation where I am training my brain because I am not my brain. My brain has thoughts inside of its head, the brain has thoughts and the brain is inside my head. The brain has thoughts. And so I am training those thoughts. I'm not becoming those thoughts, but I am training those thoughts to come back. I am training those thoughts to come back to one focused thought right here. That's meditation. And through meditation, you can allow those thoughts without consuming you. Do you remember one of the first things I said to you was there's two places to be. I am a thought or I see the thought. There's a difference between I am stressed or I am experiencing stress. There's a difference between I am anxious, I'm having a panic attack. I am experiencing anxiety. There is a difference here. You cannot change what you cannot see. You cannot change what you cannot see. And if you wish to change your relationship to stress and your health, then we must first see the thoughts that are creating the stress. But if you're immersed in them and they're right here and you don't even realize that that's what you're doing, you're not going to be able to change it. Now, I know this is a weird example, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. It's something that we talk about in level 2 is playing the director. There's so many words for this. Pick your own words of least resistance. I'm being the director. I am being the puppy trainer. I am being me, who is not my brain. I am being the noticer, the observer, the watcher. I am this person here. And so a good way to think about this is there's two birds, right? So there's two birds. There's one bird over here, and she's mama bird, and she's going to get her little sticks to make the nest and feeding her babies. And then she's doing all the things, right? She's the doing bird. And then there's another bird over here who's just perched on a branch, feeling the wind and noticing the sky and watching mama bird, right? So you have to remember that you are both birds. You are both birds. Meditation puts you in the noticer and watcher bird role of your life. If you forget and believe yourself to be just the doing bird, there will be much pain and suffering in your life. There will be much pain and suffering in the form of our thoughts, less than desirable emotions, and eventually less than desirable life circumstance with our health. When you put yourself in the rightful role that is the director, the noticer, the watcher, the observer, which is what meditation helps you to do. Meditation gets you to a place where you realize that I am not that thought that is that puppy chasing after the squirrel. You're not the puppy who's going to get the squirrel. You are the dog trainer. If you forget and think that you're the puppy, that's when the mind is everywhere. You are here to remember that you're not your thoughts. You have thoughts inside of your head, and you get to choose your thoughts. You are the director, not the directed. And meditation, slowly, over time, the same way that you go to the gym or think about and control what you put in your mouth, or don't go to the gym and not control it. In that same way, meditation is just as important, if not more, because you are exercising and eventually and essentially creating new neural pathways in your mind. If you do not give as much credit and emotion to the typical thoughts inside of your head as did I finish that project, and the emotion that comes up with the fear of failure or not being good enough, if I see the thought but do not give it the same credit and emotion, then the neural pathways inside of my head that have always gone down the catastrophic thinking route now begin to stop going down that route. Now, eventually, you won't be thinking like that all of the time because your brain is wired for efficiency. So if you don't choose that pathway of catastrophic thinking, obsessive thinking, overthinking, if you don't give credit and emotion to it and continue to go down that path and practice meditation, coming back, letting go of the thought, eventually those neural pathways will start pruning away. You'll experience neural pruning where if the brain likes efficiency, well, it's not efficient to go down that pathway anymore because she or he doesn't think like that anymore. So I'm just going to allow those to fall away. And meditation puts you slowly and surely in the rightful place in your life, in a place where you are the director and not the directed. And so that's all that meditation is. It's all that meditation is. I'm just going to say it because it happened today as I mentioned I was in Paradise Valley today and for the city workers. And I was talking to a room with public works and police and admin and fire. And so someone came up to me afterwards and they said, is prayer meditation? And I was ironically having this conversation with someone just the other day, and absolutely prayer is meditation. Think about how it is that you're using the prayer, because if prayer is right here, maybe you're repeating something, maybe you are, praying. Sometimes what happens is our thoughts do the same thing. Squirrel, 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 I'm going after the thought, going after thought. There's a puppy chasing the squirrel, going after it again, right? My focus is right here. How much can I, if it was my father and I that was talking about it, he was just, he said, talking about saying his prayers at night and then his thoughts go this way and he's got to come back to the prayer. In that way, meditation is prayer. And can I get through my prayers in that same way, wholly and fully, just by staying focused and attention on that prayer? Now, meditation, there's a couple resources I'll mention to you now. if you're starting out for the first time, know this. When you go to YouTube, when you go to an app online, the voice, the pitch, the tone of voices in meditation, some people like a man's voice, some people like a woman's voice. Everyone's very different. Everyone is very different. And so it's going to be very important that if you don't like something, don't poo-poo or shun meditation off right away. Go find something else that you may like, because sometimes it just doesn't match. So one of the things that Nuuaria is not paid by any of these apps. This is just my experience. It's all I'm doing is sharing my experience with you in a different way. And these are some of the things I've used over the years. So there is an app called Simply Being, and it has the app on the phone has a picture of a woman's face. I think it's like $2. And so they have an option for 5 minutes. And what's nice is this is all about letting go. So she'll tell you to focus here, and as your thoughts wander, she'll tell you to bring them back. And that's kind of her thing, or that app's thing. Headspace is a very popular meditation tool. It's also an app, and it takes you through and teaches you how to meditate, and takes you through specific ones. You can also just go to YouTube. There's 2 channels on YouTube that we talk about often, is The Honest Guys, and Jason Stevenson. The Honest Guys, these are 2 different ones. The Honest Guys and Jason Stevenson, they have a lot of good meditations. So one of the last things that I will mention is oftentimes people say, well, I fall asleep when I'm meditating. And so do you know what, if you don't realize what that means, and if you fall asleep when you're meditating, it simply means that you're tired. That's what that means. It means nothing more. So if you do fall asleep during meditation, I would encourage you to create a habit of more sleep before you get into the meditation, because that is also going to reduce your stress response in a really, really big way. So I hope this was helpful for you in some way. This is how I want you thinking about meditation, is you are right here. Here is the voice, and I'm coming back to the voice. If you've never done this before, start with guided. Start with no more than 5 minutes. And email me if you want. Head to hello@nuuaria.com and email me your experience and what you're experiencing. When you were listening to the voice, did you listen to, or did you catch your thoughts going over here and then you reel them back in? Did you feel your body? Did you start noticing your breath? Did you loosen up the tension in your shoulders? Did you start feeling better? Did you take a deep breath and calm down after that? What is your experience, and how are you moving through it? And there's so many different ways to meditate, but in my experience, again, because that's what I can share with you, is this is how I started in meditation, was the guided. And there's lots of things that will come up. Lots of people say, I can't meditate. Everybody can meditate. Absolutely, everybody can meditate. We do it in our own ways without even realizing it. But in our world today, where most people are busy being busy, meditation is that much more important for our world and our health in this very moment in time, because thought alone can turn on the stress response. Thought alone can turn on disease in our body. And if thought alone can turn off the stress response, thought alone can turn it off. And that's what you're doing with meditation. And when you begin to approach, if you are someone who is here with us this evening and you have consistently been, I don't know, fighting your health, or there's things that you know you could be doing and you're just not doing it, take a different approach. Take a path of least resistance approach and go down the path of meditation and mindfulness, and start some stress management practices and techniques. And when the second half of my story, when I had come out of burnout and I had gained weight and I was pre-diabetic and was full of anxiety and depression, meditation is one of the key tools that meditation mindfulness that completely changed the trajectory of my health. And so my intention for you this evening was to hopefully show you that it's not how we think about it. It's not how meditation is traditionally, it's not traditionally how we think about it. It is just that, and that's where you start. There's multiple ways of doing it, multiple different paths, but eventually and essentially what you're doing is changing your brain, changing how your brain is wired. The brain is called, there's a term called neuroplasticity, and that simply means that The brain is changeable. The brain can change. And oftentimes, if we think we are our brain, then we forget. We think that we are our thoughts. We think that we're quite literally the wiring inside of our head that we're not. That's why it's important for us to become the director instead of the directed. And remember that, look, if there's a puppy upstairs chewing up my house, my shoes, and my underwear, that is not my destiny. My habits are not my destiny. That my habits of thinking, my habits of emotion, my habits of behavior, they may make up my current life circumstance, but they don't have to. They don't have to. If I don't like my current life circumstance, then I change my habits of thought, my habits of emotion, and my habits of behavior. And instead of banging your head against a wall, trying to change behavior all of the time, use meditation as a tool that helps you change how you think. So I wanted to give you an introduction to meditation tonight, how and why to do it. And hopefully I gave you enough reasons, enough good reasons. I would challenge you to do this. 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of meditation for 5 days in the next week. 5 and 5, 5 minutes of meditation over 5 days in the next week. Go to YouTube and click 5-minute meditation. The Simply Being app has a 5-minute version that I really like. You can also use that and share your experience. The meditation is experiential in nature. Words don't teach. I am talking about a place that cannot be put into words. It is experiential and only you can experience it. When you close your eyes, you close off the use of these external senses that we have. And when you close off the use of these external senses that we have, you start tapping in, tuning in, and turning on to the internal senses that you have. These are the forgotten senses that we have that guide your life in a different direction. They guide your life in the direction beyond habitual thinking and beyond habitual emotion. That if we forget and become unaware throughout the day, we think we are those things. And if life circumstance is not where you want it to be, then we change our thoughts, we change our emotions, and we change our behaviors because that changes our life circumstance. That's what we do at Nuuaria Health and Wellness is we help you to change how you think. How you think about your health is more important than what you do because we are living in a world now where we have more diets and more meal plans and more how-tos than we've ever had before, and we're fatter and sicker than ever. Why do we have all these things and we're not skinny, rich, and happy? Right? The difference is integration. We are in a world now where we are ready for integration. We are ready to take all of the knowledge that we know, all of the knowledge. There's so much knowledge out there for you, and you are smart, and you don't need any more knowledge. We need to integrate all of that. So at Nuuaria Health and Wellness, all of our products help you do just that, help you to change your health through your thought. Our current products are Nuuaria Weight Loss, Nuuaria Diabetes. You probably just saw an invitation to Nuuaria Diabetes, and that invitation is to work with me in our pilot program. So we are looking for people with type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes diagnoses who want to eliminate medication and eliminate the need for all of the medical expenses around diabetes and to change that trajectory in their life. I'm very, very excited about, I suppose this is a first announcement, but I've been working on it for you, is Nuuaria Stress and Nuuaria Meditation. And oftentimes that is the path of least resistance to get to where it is what we want to go, if it's weight loss or anything else with our health, is if we learn to manage our stress first. Now, meditation is that long-term management. There's also in-the-moment management, right? If you're at a red light, you're not going to stop and do a yoga pose. But the long-term management of stress can fall under the category of meditation, which is huge. So I hope this was helpful in some way. My video is still getting slow on Zoom. Sorry, guys, if you're watching. If there's any questions that you have, let me know. Type it in the comment section. Hi, everybody on Instagram. Thanks for watching this evening. I hope this was helpful for you in some way. Please go ahead and email us, hello@nuuaria.com, and emailing me your 5x5 experience, 5 minutes of meditation for the next 5 days. I want to know how it impacted your stress and your health and how you feel. So as always, these are recorded. This is Wednesdays Live with the Founder, me, every single Wednesday night at 6 p.m. We'll be live on Facebook, Instagram, and Zoom. Sometimes we can't connect to Facebook, so if that's the case, we can always catch you on, you can always catch us on the Zoom link. Head over to nuuaria.com and you'll get hooked up with our mailing list, so that way you can get in touch with the Wednesday topics. I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, this is experiential in nature. So What you're experiencing now with your health, with your weight, with your stress, with your anxiety, it's just a habit. It's just a habit. It doesn't have to be that way. And don't listen to your brain, because you're not your brain. You're not the thoughts inside of your head, which means that it's not too late. You're not too old. And yes, change is real and possible, because thoughts are only thoughts. They're not negative or positive until we think them so. It's making thinking the cause of it all. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Tell me about your meditation experience. Bye, guys.